Hey everyone. So, I wanted to talk about something that's been bothering me about the design of the new Overwatch characters that I've kind of been noticing as they've been coming out. This topic came to me when discussing these things with you guys in the character design philosophy series in the comment section, and it got me thinking. The big frustrating thing about many support characters, and not just support characters, but even things like Mauga and other characters, isn't just that everybody does everything, right? Although that is a problem. That's not the big problem I'm seeing. The problem is that there's a severe rise of a lack of counterplay options against these new characters. Like there's so many abilities where, let's say somebody just presses a button and then whatever they're trying to do automatically happens and there's nothing you can do about it. And it's not even like their basic non-consequential abilities. They're actual abilities that are very crazy powerful that there's no way anybody could do anything to prevent, or once it's activated, nothing to stop it or anything like that. It's just you just kind of have to take it. I know I sound that I'm not just going to be picking on supports this video because it is a few characters, but I do want to say that this is a big reason why the support passive is so frustrating. If you don't fight them for like 3 seconds, all the work you put in to try to stop them just slowly starts to go away, and there's nothing you can do about it besides, trying to keep fighting them. However, everybody has like a get out of jail free card now, so good luck with that, which also ties into the whole, just a one button press and whatever they're trying to do succeeds. And I'm not just saying that these abilities are feel really bad to play against, but even on the other side, I feel like they're very boring to play with. Like it's less fun for the person to have cheap, powerful abilities that they, don't get to use that often. But when they do get to use it, they just kind of press a button and it's just there, and they don't really do anything with it. It just kind of automatically, I don't know, kind of plays itself. Like balancing is more than just kind of giving the character you're trying to buff or nerf higher numbers, right? A lot of it is just kind of the gameplay aspect of it as well. But actually, I think that's actually a good place to start at. Yeah, where balancing is more than just throwing in high or low numbers to kind of force how much output they are contributing per game. So don't get me wrong, I still think that there's way too much damage in the game, way too much damage and way too much healing. Like we've all played the games where you're attacking somebody and you hit all the right shots, you hit them all the right way, from the front, from the back, from the side, and you still just don't get the kill because there's just so much healing that I saw this one video where this Genji has his ultimate and he hits every single hit on, I forgot who he's fighting, and doesn't die. There was just so much healing that he just just nobody died, and he hit the same person like I don't remember how many times he swung, but like I don't know, 4 or 5 times. So yeah, that's kind of ridiculous, but not my point. My point is balancing shouldn't just be a raw number change. And not just damage or not just healing, but even just kind of the cooldown for these cheap abilities, right? These cheap AFK abilities. The way Blizzard has shown that they're trying to, mitigate moves like, let's say, Baptiste's Immortality Field, Kiriko's Suzu, or even, was it Lifeweaver's, Life Pull ability. The way they try to balance those, like, very powerful kind of cheap moves that you can't do anything against is they just try to give them higher and higher cooldown times, which isn't the problem. Like there should be some form of decision making or cost that the user should have to do when, making those plays. Or there should be an option that the person playing against those abilities, can do to try to prevent it or, make it not as effective. Like it's not just more rewarding, it's actually more fun to have those more interactive, almost kind of like a mini game, type of interactions in the game. People like to have agencies on both sides, right? The person using the cheap ability wants to have agency on making decisions and making the right call, and then they feel proud that they made the right call, and the person who's trying to play against it wants to be able to strategize to see what he can do to get around this ability, right? So there's a counterplay and a active play mechanic that they are ignoring in the design for these new character abilities. So to fix this from the lack of counterplay perspective, the moves would need to be less effective. And to fix this from the lack of active play perspective, the cooldowns will need to be reduced. So to fix this from both sides at the same time, in short, what we need to do is have less effective moves that have lower cooldowns. So first, let's get into the counterplay aspect of it all. So what does Baptiste's Mortality Field, Illari's Healing Pylon, and Lifeweaver's, pedal elevator thing all have in common? They are very powerful ways of survival that you almost can't do anything about once the button is pressed. So it sucks a ton to play against. There's nothing you can do, or they require so much to get rid of. They require so much of you to get rid of that the effort you have to put in to get rid of it compared to the effort that they needed to put in to be able to just, put it down is like 10 to 0. That's what makes it horrible to play against. There's a severe, gap in how much effort you have to put into something to get to cancel out the results. So you can be attacking Baptiste, and then right before you kill him, he plants the Immortality Field. Now you have to take the time to look up and shoot the lamp while he's shooting at you. And remember, he does damage. He does as much damage as like a soldier, and he can also get his self-healing cooldown. But on top of that, he has his support passive that costs him nothing to do to kick in. And then on top of that, the rest of his support team can come up and back him up. All this with one press of a button that didn't need to be aimed or anything. He just looked down at the ground and threw it. And on top of that, you better be playing the right character, right? Because if you're playing Reinhardt, there's no way you're going to get 3 swings on that before you die. So mind you, like I said earlier, to nerf this ability that nobody liked since Overwatch 1, Blizzard gave it a crazy long cooldown, 25 seconds. You know what that means? You're only probably seeing this ability used once per engagement. So you are actually barely seeing it at all, but we're still just as pissed to see it whenever it does come out. So it's not really doing anything to fix the problem about how much we hate playing against an ability like that. These abilities need to be less effective. And if they are less effective, then their cooldowns should be brought down to kind of balance things out. So they can use these less effective, abilities more frequently. And I want you to notice that I'm saying less effective because there are several ways to do this without just changing numbers. So yeah, let's look at 2 characters that do similar things, one that does it well and the other one that does it really bad. After that, let's look at, another 2 abilities that we can try to apply this mentality to see how we can try to fix them. So the 2 characters we're going to look at is Reinhardt and Mauga, and how they both have the charge and running ability. Reinhardt's charge is a high risk, high reward. He has a decently long startup time, so you can get ready to dodge. He is extremely slow, so he can easily be CC'd and killed along the way that he's, as he's traveling. There's just nothing protecting him. So you just have to move out of the way or shoot him. And you know that if you do get, pinned, you definitely deserved it. So it doesn't feel bad. It could be surprising sometimes, especially if he's, just turning the corner and he gets you. But you know that there was a decision and a risk that was made to do that. Now let's look at someone like Mauga, who does this horribly. The entire thing about Mauga's run is that it is designed so that you can't do anything to him. Like literally, it's made just so you can't do anything to him. There is he's completely CC proof, and he takes 50% damage, and he's really fast. Like what the hell do you do? There's literally no counter. there's no counterplay. There's no strategy you can do to kind of try to outplay it, and all they have to do is press the button. This is actually a perfect comparison of, new and old characters, how the design philosophy has just kind of changed, right? You literally have the newest character that came out last week and the oldest character, one of the, founding characters of the game, and Reinhardt's doing it right and Mauga's doing it so wrong. And we could go even further. Check this out. The Reinhardt, if he wants some value out of it, he actually has to aim and pin somebody. Mauga just has a giant AoE effect that he does when he lands that just affects anybody who's around him, and it's a pretty big radius, so he gets value much easier. So let's look at two other abilities that we can try to fix on the side of, you know, somebody who's engaging with that ability, right? How can we design these things to allow somebody to outmaneuver that ability so it doesn't feel so bad to play against? So first, let's look at Baptiste, right? For example, what if he had like a device that he threw on the floor that would take some time to build itself up, like Torbjorn's turret? That way you would see it coming, and as it's building itself, you have a chance to destroy it. Or even if you don't destroy it, you can bring down its health so that by the time it's ready and activated and protecting everybody, the HP is a little bit more down, and you know, it's a better way to deal with it. This will also force the Baptiste to plan when he throws it, because he knows that there's a setup time, right? He can't just throw it on the floor and then have it ready in front of you, because it's going to be much less effective. And if it does go up and he's now immortal, you don't feel as bad because you know you had the chance, but you just couldn't do it. You missed the little mini game interaction where there's something that, you know, popped up, and before you could do damage to him, you got to do damage to this. Or you can try to damage him before, you know, the little machine is built up, whether it's a lamp or something, the new lamp. You could try to aim at him and take him out before the lamp goes up, but you know, if you don't do it in time, you accept the consequences. Now his lamp has full HP, and you know, you messed up. So that's one. Two, let's look at Anna's nade. What if instead of, you know, the nade just completely locking out healing, let's say it absorbed the next 150 HP that the person would get, right? So you have a group of 3 people, and then they all get naded. Now the next 150 each of them would get will just kind of go out the door. The counterplay that this gets is that your support, seeing this, would kick it into overdrive, right? Because almost every support has some form of like, you know, boosted healing they can do for a certain amount of time, burst healing. So they'll know that, oh shit, all of us just got naded. So what are we gonna do? We're all gonna kick it into overdrive to get rid of this effect as fast as we can. But if somebody used their cooldowns ahead of time and they didn't have their cooldowns now to, you know, to take away the effect faster, then that's on them, right? They should have been planning for it. They should have been holding on to their cooldowns because they knew that the Ana could throw a nade at the team, and that it would be the best option to get rid of it. But they didn't have it, so they messed up, so it doesn't feel that bad. So even with this, you can bring down the cooldown for Anna's nade if it was an ability that let you do things like that. Or even something as small as like a smoke screen, right? She throws the nade, and then there's an area of effect where everybody in that area can't heal HP. Something like that, where you just have to get out of the area where the smoke is. That is also an effective way to something that wouldn't be so OP, that would allow her cooldown to go down, right? And I would still say it's pretty powerful, right? She just completely took over an area that can be played around and be very strategic for the rest of her team. So you can see how this gives us some control in how we can handle some of these abilities, some of these situations. It gives us, oh, okay, we see this. Now there's a little mini game that's going to pop up right now, or a little mini game interaction, and I have some agency on preventing this thing from doing some bad stuff to me. So now let's move on to the lack of active play. So like I said earlier, right, these overpowered smooth brain abilities are just as boring to the player using it as it is annoying for the adversary trying to deal with it. Mainly because they are so strong that you can only use them like once a fight, because that's Blizzard's way of balancing it out, right? You only have this very powerful thing you can only use once every 30 seconds or 23 seconds or something like that. And then when you do use them, half the time they're just there. You don't really do anything else with it. What makes them strong is that they're automatic. That's why you don't get it a lot. So they have no interaction. They're just there. It's just existing, and you're just kind of like, okay. This is why the application of lower cooldowns while making them less impactful also makes sense here. We don't just want to throw things and just be AFK. We like the high-level, fast-paced decision-making that grants us a sense of accomplishment. It's why I love playing dynamic characters like Doomfist, Echo, and Genji. I like having more buttons to press, and I think everybody does too. We like constantly doing things and seeing the results of our actions, seeing the results of our decision making. If I can only throw down in a mortality field once every 30 seconds, and I use it once on a diva bomb, I get that one spike. But then if I have something smaller where I can kind of continuously use, I get several small spikes, which I think is better than just that one high. Because what if you don't get that one high? What if you ruin it? Then it just kind of sucks for everybody. We don't just want occasional big plays. We would like active wins here and there, just kind of spread out consistently as we're playing the game. So just like in the lack of counterplay, I'm going to give some examples of a character who does it correctly, a character who does it incorrectly, and then two other characters that we can apply some changes to. Let's look at how Mora escapes a fight. When Mora wants to escape a fight, let's say she's fighting you, you dive on her, there's a few things that she does. She vanishes for a very limited amount of time, but you can catch up to her and you almost always know where she's going to end up, right? It's not hard. If you play enough, you can know that, okay, she's going to go over there because that's the only escape route, usually. So you see where she reappears, and then you dive on her again. She throws a healing ball down that's, bouncing around the place and, giving you the suck to damage you and replenish her healing. What she's doing is she's trying to stall long enough to get her vanish again, which does come back pretty fast. Why does it come back pretty fast? Because it's not that great of an escape mechanism. So it's less effective, allowing it to have a lower cooldown. So that if she's able to stall long enough, she gets it back, and then you probably used all your cooldowns because you're engaging her again, and she could just escape now. And that normally happens to me. If they're able to vanish twice, then they're probably gone. Especially with, they're going to be vanishing towards their team, right? So, there's a bunch of things happening. That is dynamic, high stakes, and fun. There's a lot going on there. Again, it's like its own little interaction that you have to know how to master. And you see how the opponent also has the opportunity to play against it. When she gets out of her fade, it's like, okay, she's trying to stall right now. She's healing herself. I got to do as much damage as I can to, prevent her from getting it back and running away again. But also, the cooldown is so short. The active time she's invisible is so short. The first time she does it, it's my job to look around, to know the path, to kind of know, her escape route, to be able to pounce on her as soon as she reappears. That is an interaction. So now let's look at somebody who does this very poorly. Let's look at Kiriko's escape. So they say you see a Kiriko walking by, and then you pounce on her and you're about to engage. When she wants to escape, she only needs somebody to be somewhere near her around the map, and she's gone. That's it. There is nothing else. There is nothing else. Somebody has to be through a wall, maybe a quarter of the map away, and she could just press one button and she is gone. And you're just there like, what? Like, what can you do to counter that? There's nothing. The only thing you could do is kill everybody first, so she can't just teleport to somebody. You see the big difference? Like, that's it's so silly. That was actually so short of an example. It makes it even funnier. But let's look at how the ideology can be applied to fix abilities like these, right? The ideology of making them weaker, but allow them to be more frequent so that it's funner for you to play, while also giving the enemy a chance to engage with you. So I'll use Alari, right? So right now, for Alari, her healing pylon, the way it works is that she just kind of puts it somewhere, and it's just there forever, for the rest of the game. It's just there healing everybody. That's it. Now you just shoot until someone needs you to boost their healing with your little lightsaber sword healing thing. That's on that's your secondary fire, and then when that's done, you just go back to shooting. And yes, shooting is mechanically challenging, but one, that's not what we're talking about. And two, that's it. That's all she's doing. She's so, let's say, intellectually simple, it's ridiculous. So what if instead her main method of healing was her alternate fire sword thing, and her pylon was on a timer and had a cooldown? That way she would have to make a choice on when to use it. Maybe she's just kind of healing you, or like healing somebody on the team, she throws it down to hold a spot. Or let's say, she's healing and then an emergency happens where we need to stack a lot of healing. So she throws it down and then she's able to keep up with the healing, with the burst of damage that's coming in on her team. Or if somebody is going to dive on her, like let's say a tracer is flanking or something, she saves it. And then if she's being dived on, she has it so she can throw it on the ground. And she has a pocket healer on her essentially. So constantly moving it around and timing things right and being happy that, a decision you made to keep it for a certain scenario paid off is so good for the game. It's good for you. It's good for the game. It's good for the people, playing against you. It's so much more dynamic. You're just doing more stuff. So next, let's look at Lifeweaver's pedal elevator. Right now, what he does if he's attacked is he throws down the pedal, and then it just shoots him up like 3 stories, and then he waits a few seconds. His support passive kicks in, so it starts healing him, and then he just dashes away. There's nothing you could really do, right? Especially because his pedal has so much HP. It's just kind of dumb to even like shoot at it. But now, what if he had 2 pedals on a shorter cooldown, and he can throw one down that lifts him up, a little bit, and then he can throw another one that also lifts him up a little bit, but they start from the level he's standing on, so he could essentially kind of make stairs. But also, with his dash ability, he can spread out the distance between the pedals, making it harder for the attacker, if the attacker decides to follow him up these pedal stairs, to get to the next pedal. Plus, being slightly elevated, it allows him to get a better shot on, whoever's pursuing him, on their head, on their body. There's advantages of being on the high ground. So he can throw a pedal, go up the pedal, run backwards while shooting the person who's chasing him up the pedal. While running backwards, he can dash backwards, put another pedal down, while he's still shooting the person attacking him. And if he dashed far enough and the other person can't jump that far, like let's say they don't have like a movement ability that would allow them to do that, then, he kind of won the race, and he gets to survive, and he gets to keep damaging the other guy. Again, you see the counterplay. The counterplay is that the other guy chasing you has the opportunity to at least go on the pedal and follow you up these stairs you're making. But, since you're not going as high, now you have 2 or more pedals that you can use. So yeah, come on, Blizzard. Like, let us play the game, man. We want to play your game. So yeah, I think I'll end it here. I think you guys get it. There is a lack of counterplay and active play in Overwatch 2. So many of these new characters, they just have, a button that you press that kind of does everything for them. It's really bad to play against, and it's really boring to play. If they reduce the cooldowns and make them less impactful so that every interaction can be like some, small mini game, like the examples I gave earlier, it would be so much better for the game. But no, instead, they're keeping these OP abilities and just giving them really high cooldowns, and it's just really boring for the person playing them, and just really it feels bad to get, beaten by them, because there's nothing you can do. But, although we don't see it as much, it still feels just as bad every time we do see it. So in short, everybody's just losing. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment in the algorithm, like and subscribe, and don't forget, I love you.